Hello and welcome to another Blender know-how tutorial. In this video we're going to be creating a light bulb. We're going to be modeling a light bulb. So let's go ahead and get started. Something similar to this. So this is what our final scene, or at least the light bulb, will look like after it is done modeled. It's pretty clean. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into another Blender file. Sweet. Okay, now let's just, actually we're going to keep this cube here. We're going to use it. I'm going to hit 1 on my numpad, just go to the front view and hit tab to go into edit mode. This will allow us to edit the cube. Something to note right now is that if you select something, it will only select the first one that you see because this is hidden behind it. So let's fix that by just hitting Z and hold down on your keypad or on your keyboard and hit wireframe. This will allow us to select both of them or all of them and do what we need to manipulate it. Sweet. So now we're going to go into our modifier tab, which looks like the wrench, and click add modifier and a subdivision surface. You might be thinking, like, why are we using a cube? And honestly, a cube in this situation will work out really well because when we subdivide a cube, it turns into a sphere. And so we actually can use less vertices, which is great in anything that we try to do. So let's go ahead and bring this up here to like the top half of our light bulb would be. We're going to make it look something like this. And so let's go ahead and hit Control R. This stands for loop cut and loop cut. And so we can just click there and it will make it look like this. This isn't what we want. What we want is we want to make it bigger. So hit the S on your keyboard and do that. Now I'm just going to select things, you just hold down and make a box around it with your mouse. And I'm just using this to kind of create somewhat of a sphere here. Sweet, so that's going to be the top of our light bulb, and then I'm just going to hit E to go down, and hit E again, and then E one more time where you want it to end. This stands for extrude, just by the way. If you hit E one more time, I'm going to then, you can move it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to right click. That will put it in the same spot, and then hit S to make it a little bit smaller. And you can see down here that these vertices are slightly in from there. So that's kind of what I was going for. That makes it so that this loop cut right here and this loop cut, these 4 vertices, make it so that it's a harsher corner, so it's more sharp, which light bulbs do have a little bit of a sharp corner right there. I'm going to go into object mode, take a look at our light bulb shape. This doesn't quite look like the light bulb I'm imagining, so I'm just going to hit S and move things around. Yeah, that's looking like a light bulb to me now. So you're just trying to make the shape of this using subdivide modifier and just extruding down with a cube. And I think that honestly isn't too bad because now we have this round light bulb and it goes right into what we're going to do next. So I'm actually going to, later we will increase this to like 2 or 3 just to give it a smoother smoother divisions. But until then, we're just going to hit right click, go into object mode by hitting tab, right click and hit shade smooth. Go into your front view again and hit shift A for add mesh. Make sure you're in object mode and then hit plane. You won't see much. You'll see this little plane go right here. Down in the bottom left corner though, there will be a little panel. Click on that and hit align to view. This will make the plane facing us. And then I'm just going to move it down using G. And then middle mouse click and drag or hit Z to lock it to the axis. And then hit tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to move it all the way over here on this side of this origin, the little orange point. And I'm going to make it smaller. and something like this. Now you may be wondering what I'm doing. So now I'm going to explain a little bit. I'm going to add a screw modifier that's going to add, let me see if I can pull up the image again. It's going to add this spiral. So it shouldn't be too bad. Let's go ahead and do it. So let's go over here to the modifier tab and click on the screw modifier right there. And now you're going to say, okay, that's exactly opposite of what we want, which it kind of is. So just hit Y, axis Y. And if Y doesn't work, just keep flipping to one of these, or you can look at which one it should be reflecting on or screwing on. Next, make sure you're in your ones on your numpad. Make sure you're in your front view, and then click on the screw, or just hold down on the screw and slide it down. And you can see kind of what we're going for here. And then the rest is really easy. So I'm just going to pull it down just to see what we're doing. But essentially now what we have to do is hit, make sure you're in edit mode, and hit Control R, and you can put a loop cut right where you'd like it. So I just middle mouse clicked, and then I'm going to place one up here somewhere, maybe like a 0.2, 0.1, like somewhere right here. You can just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be really perfect or anything. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. So now click on this vertice. Make sure you're in your front view still, and drag it out. And now you can see we're getting that effect that's on here. Right now it looks horrible though. So let's fix that. Let's add a subdivision surface, and you can see that it still is really harsh, and we may be wondering why. Why is this not rounding out? Like, it should be rounding here, and it should be rounding here and here. Because it's rounding here just fine, and here. Same with these. Well, the easy diagnosis is this inside of here. These three planes are being created inside of this. So we just need to select this edge and hit X and delete the edge, and click on this one as well, and delete that one. So now we have it. Now we have it pretty smoothed out, and it's looking pretty good. I'm just also now going to take these and hit X and dissolve vertices. It's not necessary, but I think it will be better in the long run for our next process that we're going to be doing. So hit Control R, and this is for a loop cut, but because there's only edges, it will just do it on the edge, so it'll be just a point. So we'll just click there and hit G, that will let you move it, and hit G again to slide it on the edge. I'm going to do that for this one as well, and push them all the way up there. Now you can't see this top one, so I'm going to go into wireframe and hit Control R and loop cut and slide it over. So now if we go into solid mode, we can see that we have this little bump, and it's looking fairly well. I'm just going to increase that, and I'm going to go here and make this, make this a little bit sharper and these a little bit closer. If you click on these, you can actually use S to scale them closer together. And that will make the thing a little bit harsher there. And then I'm wanting to pull these all up. And you can do the same thing with these outside ones. So I just want to make it a little bit narrower. And I'm going to move it up. Okay, now that we're in our object mode, we want these to line up with each other. So this is a really easy fix. Just go into 3 on your numpad, which is the right orthographic view. And then we can play with this, the screw modifier. So let's get it fairly close just by dragging it. And then, honestly, this is the easiest way to do this. There's probably a mathematical way to do it, but this is easy to me. Just go in here and start typing numbers. It's kind of like that, like 20 questions, or like where you have a number that you're trying to guess and you high or low. It's kind of like that. So it's like a little game, I guess, with inside Blender. We're just trying to guess which number is going to be on the dot. And so as you go higher and lower, just get it narrowed down to as close as you can, probably to 3 decimal points. It's probably going to look good. And also, just get it as close as you can. Yeah. Sweet. So now if we tab, we go back into object mode, if you're not already there. You can see we have one full screw. All we have to do is click iterations to 3, and voila, we now have 3 iterations of it going down. And generally, a light bulb only has like 3 or 4, so you can kind of do this however you want. Now, if you have 4, you may realize it looks kind of tall. So you can just hit scale if you're in object mode, and it will alter everything, which is perfect. Now, to finish this off, the next parts are fairly easy. So just hit Shift D to duplicate, and I'm going to take the iterations down to 1 and the screw down to 0. That will just make one full circle around at the top, and it is placed exactly in the same spot as this one. So it actually works out perfectly. Now hit Shift D and snap it to going down and place it at the bottom. Hit 3 on your numpad to line it up with this last one here. So you want this to be as close as you can. You don't have to be super perfect, but I think that should work out just great. Now hit 1 on your numpad to go back to the front view and hit Shift D once again to duplicate it. Duplicating things is just going to make it easier for us. And then go into the edit mode, and I'm going to select all of these moved vertices and hit X and hit dissolve vertices. That will make it a plane now. Go into wireframe, hit Z on your keyboard, and then grab those vertices like this and move them down here. Now you can see that on the inside of this, just grab these vertices and move them down as well, somewhere in here. Those aren't necessary, but they could contribute to a little bit better looking roundness here, because we're using a subdivision modifier. So hit Control R on your numpad at this point and click in the middle of this edge and move it out just to give it a slight round shape at the bottom. Now I'm just going to go into the solid view to show you what we have. I think this is looking pretty good. I think this feels a little tall, so I'm just going to maybe go into edit mode and got to go into wireframe to grab all the vertices and move it down a little bit. Maybe something like that. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Sweet, so our last little part of our light bulb that we want to do is this little nub thing down here. And I'm just going to hit Shift D again and move it down. Oops. And then hit Tab to go into edit mode, go into wireframe, and move these in. Make sure that you don't overlap these, or else you'll get some really weird results down here. So I'm now going to just play with these individually. This top one should be something in this range, because at the bottom of a light bulb there is a little bit of a lip on the connector. And then we're just going to grab these, move them up, and move that up so that it looks something like that. And then you can play with, I think something doesn't look right here with proportions wise, so you can grab things and just scale them. And you can honestly just take this, go like that, and move it up. Maybe that looks a little bit better. Yeah, that actually does a lot better. And then our finishing touch on here is to increase our subdivisions so that it just looks a little bit nicer. And we can do that here as well. Another touch that I saw that when I was creating this before the original light bulb that I showed earlier is I found that if I put a subdivision surface not at the bottom, but at the top here, it gave maybe a little bit better result. So, good luck with your light bulb creations and any other objects that you create using similar techniques as this. And I hope to see you next time on Blender Know How. And we'll see you later.